I'd like to call the meeting to order, our meeting of September 30th, 2015, and ask our clerk, Christian Sampson, to call the roll.
Councilman Alderman, Councilman Charles, here. Councilman Friedman, here. Councilwoman Deputy Supervisor Withers, present. Supervisor St. Lawrence,
here. I'd like to ask Councilwoman Logan Charles to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, there's no public hearing tonight.
Supervisor, if I may.
Yes.
In your previous meeting, you had set a public hearing date for tonight with respecting amending the Aquifer and Well-Fed Protection Zone map. The map has to be revised, so I'm asking the board to cancel the public hearing. When we get the new map, we'll present, David Stallman will review it, present it to you, and we'll schedule a new public hearing.
Okay. And you'll do the proper postings? And,
yes,
okay.
So we need a resolution, Supervisor.
Very good. A motion to cancel the public hearing? Moved by Councilwoman Charles, second by Deputy Supervisor Withers. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the acceptance of the minutes for our regular meeting of September 17th, 2015. Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. Item number 2, our general items, 2A is approval of a liquor license for the Fireside Holdings, LLC. Moved by Councilwoman Charles.
Withers.
Seconded by Deputy Supervisor Withers. I'll just ask Tony, is everything in order with this restaurant?
Yes, sir. As far as we're fine with it.
Okay. Chris, you guys did the check and there was no problems?
yes, we've also eaten there.
And it's good? Great. You get an endorsement, too. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. Item 2B is acceptance of a gift for a historical document, and we'll move it and second it, and then we'll have our town clerk talk about it. He's an archives officer in the town. Moved by Councilwoman Charles, second by Deputy Supervisor Withers. On the question, I'll recognize Mr. Sampson.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Julius Grafman has, over the years, collected a number of items in various incarnations that he's had. One was in a business with his brother as a printer, where he had an opportunity to make some reprints of some historic documents. You may recall that he donated some maps that I'm preserving for keeping for our archives and museum in the past. He has donated, he has 14 prints of the Declaration of Independence on a kind of a parchment
Originals.
paper.
Originals?
Wow. The ink is still wet.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
Interesting. They're very nice. They're going to make a nice display. There are 14 of those, and 2 copies of the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, including the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments. These are, again, on a parchment-type paper.
Oh, they're very nice.
So we'll have them. They were nice things to display.
And they're very well printed, and as you
Yeah.
say, on parchment paper. So maybe we should put a display up in the
We
hallway.
can certainly do that, yeah.
Fantastic.
And thanks to Julius Grafman.
Mr. Friedman.
Are they from anywhere or anything in particular?
Well, I guess from his print location, he actually had an opportunity to get an actual, what do you call it, template from the mint, from which he could print these additional copies in his print shop that he had some years ago.
All right.
And I guess these are left.
That's nice.
And I think we're happy to have them.
Yeah, and they're
great
nice on that
specials.
parchment paper.
It looks
Very
nice.
nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. Under the boards and commissions, we want to reappoint a Board of Assessment Review member. I think it's Mr. Pearlstein. Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, seconded by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. We have 2 items of new business. I'll recognize our town attorney.
Thank you,
This
Mr.
evening.
Supervisor.
Mr. Berman.
As you know, Chief Brower has retired. and until the board appoints a successor, we need someone to be authorized to dispense petty cash. So we're asking that Captain Captain Coakley, who has been previously appointed Chief of Staff, to be authorized to do petty cash up and until the board decides what it does with the successor to the chief.
Withers?
Moved by, and I think we should add something on to that,
Yes.
Pat. I think that we should, unless you want to do a separate resolution, Council, the general orders state for the police department, when the absence of a chief,
That's correct.
that the chief of staff
And he's the chief- that's my resolution says
It's
that.
not the acting chief, he assumes the
duties of the chief
So
of
I think we should do that as well, until this board gets to interview the two captains. We have two great captains, and one of them will become chief, either Captain Wydell or Captain Coakley. So until we have those interviews,
We designate someone to assume the responsibilities of the day-to-day operations and
Yes.
absence of the chief.
and so
Well,
he is,
technic-
so as under the general orders, the chief of staff, that is the hierarchy, so.
And he was previously appointed Chief of Staff by
Chief
Chief
Brower.
Brower.
Yes.
So that's why I wrote the resolution.
Okay.
I'm
So
gonna-
add that into your resolution, too, that he's to assume, all the duties until a chief
Okay.
is. All right?
And that's just interim.
And so it's moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers
Second by all of us.
and seconded by all of us. All right? All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, carries unanimously. And Michelle, we had gone out for bid. I know last year we had a small municipal rink that we rented, and it was costly, and your recommendation was that we should go out and look to purchase one that was a regulation so that the teams and youth leagues and high schools could utilize this, and it still could be used for municipal skating. We went out to bid. The bids came back today, and they came in less than what we thought. It came in at $315,000. So
Withers?
Can we talk about that in an executive session?
we don't have an executive session, but you certainly can ask a question.
Uh,
Let me get a second, too. Moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. I'll recognize Councilman Friedman.
What was the size of last year's rink?
Michelle, last year was 40 by 50? Yeah, 40 by 60. This is 200 by 85.
Right.
This is a regular full-size. You can actually play games on this, Councilman. And Michelle got a lot of inquiries from leagues and groups that wanted more of the ice time and
It has more than what's said here, the spec. It does the penalty boxes,
the glass walls, the...
team boxes, and the netting, the Zamboni. A lot of the stuff isn't listed, but
I know, I think this is a great bid, because I know that the freeholders in New Jersey, in Bergen County, just voted to put a rink in Van Soen Park, an outdoor rink, and theirs was $1 million, and their Zamboni, that didn't include the Zamboni, so I think that being able to bond this over a 20-year period brings the cost down tremendously to about $15,000 per year to own it, and
And what's the
Because
usual lifespan of these things? I mean, how long do these things?
it has more than a 20-year lifespan, correct?
All right.
longer
And,
to care for it better.
Yeah.
and in terms of revenue, is there anything that we're going to be doing differently?
Well, I think that with the revenue now, you'll be able to rent it out to teams for practice, and
Yeah,
And
the hockey
the-
wouldn't come last year, so now we're looking to bring jamborees, camps, hockey games, maybe a college game as to highlight.
we did already get a call from the New York Rangers, and they wanted to rent it for a period of time for a youth program. So the need is out there tremendously, and I think that the time that people can use it hourly is around $350 to $500 in the region. So I think that it makes more sense, rather than just for municipal skating.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll have to vote no.
Okay, so it passes 3-1. And do you have any other new business,
No,
Counsel?
Supervisor.
Okay. And they were the low bid, correct? Okay. And the only bid, in the end a little bit. Anybody in the public would like to speak? Robert, no? No. Come right up. No.
Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Sure. That's Roy Chudy, 16 Lonigan Drive. I want to thank you for the opportunity this evening to speak to you on a subject matter that is vital to both my community and for me personally. Please know and understand that I'm going to speak with you without any vitriol and certainly without any malice. I do, however, speak to each of you with respect to the position of the office you hold, along with the oath of office taken. Regarding open space, in the town's posted initiatives, open space has been a priority since 2003, and the open space program consists of 4 major parts, one of which is parkland, and over 50% of Ramapo's land is designated for parkland. The town has engaged in several historic environmental initiatives over the past several years. In 2008, Ramapo acquired the 55-acre Liberty Rock property in Sloatsburg, an approved subdivision where developers were anticipating constructing 90 single-family homes. Now it will remain parkland forever. Respectfully, I draw your attention to this. On or about August 9, 2006, the Board of Ramapo approved the Memorandum of Understanding regarding the donation of premises to Ramapo from Tilcon by the passage of Town Board Resolution number 2006-504, which reads as follows. Whereas, in the past, various areas of the town of Ramapo have experienced frequent flooding along the Ramapo River, and whereas there exists a demonstrated need for flood protection along the Ramapo River, Mahwah River, and Massanucas Brook in both the state of New York and New Jersey, and whereas the town is engaged in negotiation with Tilcon, New York, for the acquisition of 65 acres of land in the village of Suffern, including the rock quarry and surrounding lands. Whereas said lands may be used for flood control, open space, parkland, and other municipal purposes. I especially would like to draw attention to the past paragraphs 2 and 3, along with paragraph 5. It should be noted that in the Rockland County Times article posted on January 29, 2015, under the title, "Funding Could Come Through FEMA or Town of Ramapo," it explicitly details a plan of action. The meeting being referred to was a request from me to Supervisor Christopher St. Lawrence, and is reported in part. The town of Ramapo is working to secure FEMA funds for a flood remediation project in the village of Suffern. But if those funds never materialize, it will likely pursue the project itself.
3 minutes has expired.
You can finish your thoughts,
Thank you.
But your 3 minutes is up, but you can just,
Okay.
finish it up.
A presentation and discussion of flood remediation plans on Wednesday included a discussion of funding for the $5 million. According to Town Supervisor Christopher St. Lawrence, a failure to secure the funds could mean Ramapo would bond the money itself. One way or another, we're going to do something in 2015, the supervisor said. $5 million is something that is not prohibitive of a project of this nature. So, speaking directly to the supervisor, I would say this. Over the years of your administration, I dare say that not one elected official in this county has been more responsive to the needs of our veterans. You have approved funds to charter a bus for Vietnam veterans to Washington, D.C., so they may pay their respects at the wall for their fallen brothers. You attend and speak every year at the Vietnam Veterans Annual Watchfires. You have been supportive of the Jewish war veterans in all endeavors requested. Ensuring Vietnam Veterans Chapter 333 is present for a hand cycle fundraiser to aid veteran amputees at the annual Golden Glove boxing tournament held at the St. Lawrence Arena. Ensuring the Lafayette Theater is made available for functions that enable funding for veterans programs. As a Vietnam veteran, I appreciate all of those efforts, and I truly do thank you for that. And with respect, I'm asking on behalf of the many people and many families to please find the same success that you have for the veterans for implementing the siphon plan that we've been begging for and looking for so long. Because as we speak, as I am now standing before you, this very moment, Hurricane Joaquin is at the doorstep of the East Coast. And even if Joaquin does not directly hit New York, the American GFS model forecast reports the East Coast will see multiple impacts, inclusive of flooding rainfall, gusty winds, erosion, and some coastal flooding. Almost 10 years the town has had this property of the quarry. And there's the letter of intent that was submitted by the county and you guys is much appreciated. But that was 2.5 years ago. I received a letter from the governor's office basically telling me you're not going to receive it. I submitted it to Mr. Tisi, so I'm sure he has a copy of it. So in lieu of that fact, I'm asking you if the town is unable to financially go ahead and do this, and I understand times are tough, if they may not consider themselves donating that property back to the county, who would, in all likelihood, go ahead and implement some kind of a device that would save us from flooding. And I know the president of Haiti is here right now, and Haiti was devastated. All those lives lost, all those homes lost. And on a much smaller vein, that's what we go through in our area. So I'm basically pleading to you guys to please consider doing something. All we've had so far is promises and rhetoric, but really nothing implemented. So I want to tell you I respect and thank you for letting me go on more than my 3 minutes.
Absolutely.
And this was not only just for myself, my family, my entire community and other areas that suffer flooding. Thank you.
And I appreciate it. Thank you, Roy. Mr. Romanowski.
Robert Romanowski, 183 Maple Avenue, Muncie. About maybe almost a couple of weeks ago, the town of Ramapo lost a very dedicated and hardworking employee in Danny Covert. I've spoken with him many times. I met him at different town events and town places many times. He was a very warm, friendly person. He had a big heart, and that he will be missed by everyone here in the town. And at this time, I'd just like to offer my condolences to his family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romanowski. Really? Tony? Come on.
My name is Anthony Sharon. I'm the current superintendent of highways in the town of Ramapo. I just want to bring the board up to speed with the upcoming storm. I just got an email from Emergency Services. There's 2 storms going to be coming in. We got a northeaster that's going to hit us first. Then this storm is projected to come in Sunday, Monday. We're not too sure yet. The track is uncertain. Most of the models shown going into Norfolk, Virginia, which puts us on the east side. The forecast for the rain, Orange County is up to 10. We're probably in between 7 and 8 inches of rain.
It's a lot of rain, Tony.
Well, the only good thing is, well, it's a bad thing, the brooks are low now. We had an inch of rain last night, but if we get 1 to 2 inches from this northeaster, then they're going to raise a little bit. So we'll be getting stuff ready. And I'll keep the board advised what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. They have web barbs every day at the fire training center, so we should be we should be getting ready now. We don't expect a lot of wind yet, but this thing, if it moves like Hurricane Sandy did, it could be another. It might go to a Cat 3 before it hits the coast. So that's going to create a lot of surge, a lot of water up in the Hudson. So we don't know which way it's really going to hit us.
Would you, I mean, through the supervisor,
Mr. Superintendent, would you reach out to the Village of Suffern officials, Mr. Deschuty's here, let them know that we,
I think they're...
any equipment or manpower they might need on your behalf?
I think their
Grandpa was willing to help
DPW
out?
director will be attending these web bars. If, you know, like, we work hand in hand. I work with the county, I work with Suffern, I work with Sloatsburg. Anything that we can do, or they have something that we need, we're in touch during the course of a storm.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Anyone else? Motion to close the public participation. Moved by Councilwoman Charles, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Withers. I just want to make a comment on just some factual things there, Mr. Schutte. I appreciate your comments, especially about the veterans. The funding that this town board is, I think, the only entity that isn't talking, that is actually doing something. And we are the ones that crafted a plan to put in the siphons and to hire Brooker Engineering and do the siphons. And the county, the property originally was donated to the county, and the county then said they didn't want it, so we took it. We ended up having to pay fees to the county of about $250,000 when we took it over. And the project that we have in for flood mitigation is not through the governor's office, it's through Washington, through the Army Corps of Engineers. We can't do anything unless the Army Corps of Engineers signs off on it. So, and the flood mitigation monies that we have in the application is with the Army Corps. And I know that Deputy Supervisor Withers had talked with Mike Riley, and we'll be getting an update from Congresswoman Lowy, who now is our Congresswoman. We had also at one time received funding for the project from the Army Corps. They liked the project. And then when the drought came along in the center part of the country in the Mississippi River, all of those dollars to the Army Corps were reprogrammed, and our money was taken away and was sent out to work on the Mississippi River. So we have a $5 million grant in for FEMA for flood mitigation, and we hope that will be working. But here in 2015, that hasn't stopped this town. We spent $460,000 just recently, right just above you on the east bank of the Mahwah River, putting in stabilization, and I think Conserve did that, correct, Pat?
Yeah, and we actually improved it, Mr. Schutte, the way it was. FEMA came in and told us they wanted a better job. DEC came in and told us they wanted it more reassuring there, because basically what this town board did was, the action we did was, it's not going to help the lower portion of it, but I mean, it's not going to solve the lowest portion, but at least help slow it down, is what the engineers said, is that it curves off the bank and tries to. Just on the notion, Mr. Schutte, you made that by us giving the town asset to the county, were you assured that the county, just because they own the property, that they would go through with the funding for that? Because if they have the funding now, we're more than welcome to let them put a siphoning plant in there for us on our property.
If the Army Corps approves it,
yeah.
after they approve it. But I don't think the county has the funds to purchase the property or to put in the siphons. Matter of fact, the county just lost their sale of a $32 million facility today, and but I think we are the only entity that is going forward and doing things, and we will continue to work on it, and we'll check as to where we are with the Army Corps and the grant that we have in the flood mitigation. All right. We do want to close tonight's meeting in honor of Dan Covert. Mr. Romanowski spoke about him. Dan Covert worked in this town well over 4 decades. I remember Dan Covert at Suffern High School when I was there, and he was the lead in Bye Bye Birdie. He was fantastic. The girls loved him. He played a great Bye Bye Birdie. The girls still loved him, didn't they? Through his whole life. He was a very lovable person. Had a great way about him. Was a funny guy. One thing that I will say about Dan, he did great service, not just at the golf course, but at the pools. But in his struggles at the end of his life, he he faced he faced death with great strength. He was very strong. He was very protective of his family and everybody that he worked with, right up until the end, and never really wanted to ask for any sympathy or anything. He just went about doing his job really right to the very end, and so we'll miss him, and as will his family, but certainly he did so much for this town. And so we will close tonight's meeting on behalf of everybody here. After we close public participation, moved by Deputy Supervisor Withers, second by Councilwoman Charles. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And now we will close this in memory of Dan, and we will send a letter to his family speaking of all the wonderful things that he did for this town. All those in favor? Aye. Aye? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much.